Hey, welcome back to Schaefer Shenanigans. Today's shenanigans actually involves our old Mazda 2016 Mazda 3. If you watch previous videos, you know we've actually done a lot of work on this. We put a rear shock on, rear coil spring on. We actually recently did the sway bar end links on the driver front and passenger front. And while today, we're actually going to go ahead and do the brakes on this thing, the front brakes. We're going to do pads and rotors. Now I put on about 72 miles a day in this Mazda, so doing little things like the front brakes, the sway bar end links, things like that really helps out the daily commute. I want to keep this car nice. It's been a great car for us, and I just want to kind of keep it going. All right, so we got the wheel off, no problems there. I'm actually going to use a 13 to get the caliper bolts off, and then a 17 to get off the bracket. We're going to use probably a bungee cord or something like that, just so we can tie up this caliper up to maybe the coil or the strut area, so that way it doesn't snap any brake lines. Okay, now I go ahead and use a 17 to get that one off, and the bolt down there, and that's what holds on this caliper bracket. Now, if I actually look at the brake pads, they're really not that bad. But driving in DC traffic every day, whenever I hit the brakes or come to like a harder stop, the steering wheel will be like da 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 da. So it really needed front rotors, but honestly, by the time I'm tearing this apart and I'm putting rotors on it, I'm going to put pads on it. Why not? Now you can see that I took a little bit of hammering to get off. Another option would be just to take like an M8 or an M6 bolt and just run it in and it'll pull that rotor off. Just another option instead of a hammer. Okay, while we got everything all torn apart, let's go ahead and see what parts we got in the new box. Stickers. Hardware, pads, good old pads, rotor, and another rotor. And we actually got these off of Rock Auto. And would you believe the total cost was under $50 for all those items shipped to my door? Apparently, Advanced Auto Parts, right, a few months ago, they closed a bunch of stores. This is all old, leftover, new old stock of their supplies. And I guess Rock Auto had a bunch of it, and they were selling it dirt cheap. So if you know any other place to get pads and rotors for your Mazda for under $50, let me know. I'll buy them. And we'll go ahead and pop these old pads out. Okay, and you can see actually the brake pad is actually marked outer. Okay, let's go ahead and bolt everything back together. Got the rotor on, we got the new pads in. Let's go ahead and put the bolts back in and reassemble. Let's go ahead and save ourselves a little bit of time next time. Just a little bit of never sees. And we'll do the top one. Just a little bit. Now you want to double check these slide pins. It can go in and out nicely. You can take this boot off, put some grease in there. Maybe you take a file and file them down, but they should move nice and loose. Now because the piston on the caliper is so pushed out from the worn out pads, we're putting new ones in. So you got to go ahead and push that piston back into the caliper. And you want to make sure I loosened up the brake fluid reservoir cap, because as you push that in, it's going to move some air. Makes it easier. Just go ahead and do it. And you just want to double check the boot, make sure there's no air bubbles, it's not ripped, torn, nothing like that on the caliper. Now we're just going to push it back over onto the pads, just like so. And again, a little bit of anti-seize on these bolts. Anti-seize on these bolts. These caliper bolts don't really take much tightening at all. So just a little bit like that. And good enough. Okay, there you go. Pretty simple. It's only like 4 bolts in this whole process, minus the lug nuts holding the wheel on. So not too hard. So now let's go ahead and just reassemble everything, starting with the brake reservoir cap. Probably needs a battery, but yeah, whatever. Now when you go to drive it for the first time, you may need to pump that pedal a little bit so the piston and the caliper comes out and pushes on those new pads. But hey, I'm pretty happy. For less than $50, we was able to do front pads and front rotors on our 2016 Mazda 3. At the time of filming this, I think I have around 168,000 miles. Probably when we get to 200, we gotta do the coolant, spark plugs, maybe the belt tensioner, maybe some new belts on it, just kind of go through the car a little bit, because 200,000 miles is a lot. So we'll probably also have to buy new tires by the time we get there. But hey, once again, this is just the shenanigans that Schaefer does. Out.